Good morning and welcome to the State Ethics Commission. Today is October the 18th and the time is now 9:02. First of all, before we have a roll call, just a couple of administrative announcements. If you have a cell phone, turn your cell phone off, and if you want to be recognized, please raise your right hand so that we can recognize you and you can speak. So first thing, let's have a roll call. And please indicate if you're here and if you are alone.
Sure, starting with Vice Chair McCarthy.
I'm here and alone.
Commissioner Hall.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Everybody throw that. Okay. Commissioner Hall, can you hear us now?
Got it. Present and alone.
Okay. Turning to Keith.
Present and alone.
Jared.
Present and alone.
Bonita.
Present and alone.
Jennifer. You are on mute. If you can just do a thumbs up, take that as present. Okay, Miles.
Present and alone.
Patrick.
Present and alone.
Jody.
Good morning. I'm present and alone.
Okay. And at this time, I don't know if a member of the public wants to introduce themselves.
It's not. Who's the individual on top, right?
That's
And I-
Jared. All right.
And I think that captions for Jody and myself are maybe reverse or something.
Thanks, Patrick. I don't know if you can work on that.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one person from, well, we do have a public here, so just for that member of the public, any members of the public will be joining us remotely. If the commission's video conference connection is lost during the meeting, we will recess the meeting and reconvene after our connection is restored. Please check the commission's website, which is www.ethics.hawaii.gov for information about reconnecting to the meeting. If the meeting is continued to a later date or terminated, information about this will be posted on our website. Any questions? Okay, let's get started. I need a motion. Well, first of all, are there any corrections to the minutes of September 20th, 2023? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes of September 20th, 2023. Commissioners?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Thielen, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. I guess it's roll call.
Starting with Vice Chair McCarthy.
Hi.
Commissioner Hall. Apologize, I think you're on mute.
I wasn't present, so I will defer approval.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Thielen.
Aye.
Chair.
Aye. No objections, motion's carried. First order of business and the director's report, Robert.
So just as an initial matter, I'd like to introduce a new member of our staff, Jody Yee. If you don't mind, if I can ask her, she spent just a second or two introducing herself. We're very enthusiastic and happy to have her. She was with the Deputy Attorney General's office for quite some time and brings to us, I think, a wealth of knowledge about state agencies and how they operate. It'll be a really valuable piece of information for us. So Jody, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Say
Good morning, commissioners and members of the public. I'm Jody Yee. I after law school, I clerked for a year with Judge Kevin Chang. Then I worked at the law firm of Ayabe Chang Nishimoto for 10 years before I joined government service. I worked at the Public Utilities Commission and the Attorney General's office. I advised the Department of Taxation, the Charities Unit, the Retirement System, the Health Fund, and most recently, the Department of Agriculture. And I've been working here now a couple of weeks, so it's been very interesting. And I hope that you bear with me as I get up to speed on everything relating to ethics. Thank you very much.
Well, on behalf of our commission, welcome on board. How long were you with the AG's office?
With the AGs, about 15 years.
At the AG's office?
Yes.
And why did you want to leave such a great place? I know, better place, I know.
You were a former AG, if I remember.
Oh, quite a few years ago.
It's probably the same.
Yeah, so what department were you, or division, I should say? In the AG's office?
Well, I started with the Charities Unit, and then I switched to do tax litigation. After that, I was doing advising the employees' retirement system. No, I'm sorry, the health fund and then the retirement system. And then I advised the Department of Agriculture. I did a little bit of some technology boards, the Environmental Advisory Council when they moved over from the Department of Health to DBED. But my most recent assignments have been mostly agriculture, leases, the inspectors, marketing, contracts, kind of whatever they needed. I did a lot of advising to the chair. Some really great people. I had a lot of fun. You know, it was interesting watching the dogs do their inspection of the packages and all kind of interesting things like that. But this is also important work and something a little bit different again.
Well, good. Is Charlie Nina, did she finally retire?
She retired, but she's still there.
Oh, God, I feel so old. So you're a litigator then, right? Because you were with the Yabi's office, right?
Right, correct.
All right, well, good to have another litigator.
Yeah, I worked for Francis Nakamoto for about 10 years. You might remember him.
Oh, he was my assistant at the Corp Council, yeah, in the trial division. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's now enjoying his grandkids in Seattle. Very good. Any questions? Yes, Cynthia.
Did you by any chance get into the hemp program with the Department of Agriculture, or had it been turned over to the U.S. Department of Agriculture by the time you came on board?
No, actually, the Department of Agriculture is still involved with hemp to the extent that when it is after it's harvested and being transported to the processing center. So USDA is in charge of it up until harvesting, but once it's harvested, they are not involved. It then goes to the state to do any kind of oversight. And Department of Ag monitors the transportation, and then the Department of Health monitors the processing. But it might change again because they are working on revamping all of those laws. But they did get a big omnibus bill package through in 2023. I think it went through without governor's signature, but that will make a lot of changes for the hemp farmers, make it a lot easier for the farmers.
Boy, I hope it will. I mean, it's under the former administration, they just strangled the farmers, and hemp just, it wasn't able to be part of their rotational crops. And that's sad because the building industry would be able to build with hempcrete, termite proof, fire retardant, climate controlled, everything good. Anyway, someday we'll have to talk more about that.
Once we get
Welcome aboard. I'm very glad you're here.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
On point, right?
Any questions from the public? Okay, if not, welcome aboard again, and let's continue on under director's report.
So I'd like to turn it over to Benita to talk about our education and training report, attachments 1 and 2.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'm going to go over an overview of this and the status report of where we are at today for the training program. The materials that I'm going to be covering are in your Sunshine materials, starting from the PDF page 19. Patrick, can I have the ability to share at this point?
Yes, your co-host.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can everyone see my slides?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is a quick update on where we are at today and an overview of the participation levels. I'll be covering several charts and graphs that are, provided as that was part of our internal analysis that was really an effort to kind of synthesize the raw data and numbers and extract some key takeaways. And the intent here is to zoom out a bit to highlight some of the trends and patterns that we've been observing based on our work with the various agencies and boards, right? So this is a slide that I have that provides you with just a general overview in terms of our jurisdiction and the numbers that we're dealing with. So our jurisdiction covers a total of about 60,000 state employees and board members. Under Act 165, everyone has to take training. So that would be the large blue, periwinkle blue circle. And about 1,800, which is the salmon pink circle, the oval, those individuals are required to file financial disclosures, which is about 3% of all state officials. The majority are confidential filers. And within that subset, only about 300, the smaller navy blue circle, are required to file public financial disclosures under the statute. So this would include legislators, governor, lieutenant governor, OPA trustees, department heads, and members of the 17 major boards such as BOE, BLNR, Board of Regents. And that's about, again, 300 people. So this innermost circle is the folks that would be required to take the live ethics training. Is there a question, Chair?
No,
Okay. This slide is a kind of a historical overview of our training statistics. I think you've seen this at the conference. This is as of updated as of October 4th, the data that we've collected. As you can see, the 2019 period, which is shown in yellow, all of the training was done in person. So this is pre-pandemic, our old school method, go to a classroom, provide the presentation. And then in 2020, we did a couple of in-person one, beginning of the year. We also launched our self-directed training right before the pandemic hit. And after that, later towards the year after we were able to kind of pivot to the Zoom kind of platform, we started doing more webinars. So you kind of see the results of that in 2020. And then continuing with 2021, then in 2022, Act 165 was enacted in June. And you can immediately see the impact of that. And then in 2023, as of January, the law officially took effect. And so you can see this huge spike in terms of the participation rates, which was really the key purpose of the law, which is to increase education and knowledge, right, about ethics training. So as of October 4th, we have seen a threefold increase in training participation from the year before, and really an 18-fold increase since 2021. And we've been able to reach these levels with no additional staffing or resources, right? While also managing our core responsibilities of advice, guidance, disclosures, and enforcement. So, it's pretty a testament to the hard work that the staff and our partner agencies and boards have enabled us to get to this point. So that's kind of a broad overview year by year. This slide just drills down a little bit more to the self-directed, participation levels. And again, most people are coming on to the self-directed portion of our training activities. And then this is a summary of the live training, which is basically an aggregate of in-person and the webinar participation. Now, the decrease that you see in 2023 is largely because most of the public officials that are the tier 1 folks, they've either taken training or have kind of other individuals are recognizing they don't need to take the live, they can just take the 30-minute self-directed. So that's kind of like the shift that you see overall, the trends. While we've made great strides in increasing our participation levels, like we kicked it out of the ballpark, there are certainly areas that we can still improve. And based on our review of the data, there are a number of agencies that we plan to focus our efforts on in the next 3 months as we reach the end of the year. This slide is just a kind of an aggregate summary based on our review of our training certification record. So these are the 6 agencies that we plan to work with. Note, DLE is the Department of Law Enforcement. It's a relatively new agency that I think formed last year. So they're still kind of like starting up, right? For the other agencies, there's some variation based on the data that they maintain on the part of the agency. For like large agencies like DPS and DOT, they have personnel changes that occur weekly, if not daily. So, and furthermore, there might be some inherent errors that are due to users entering incorrect information on our certificates. While we try our best to catch that, there's gonna be, there's a certain degree of error, right, in terms of dealing with raw data. So this is an attempt to kind of try to just aggregate some of the trends to kind of see, okay, these are the 6 agencies that we want to work with, because generally they're all coming in below the 50% mark. So we want to increase them to a higher percentage as much as possible and work with their HR. There are also about 20 boards that we are going to be targeting. Those are the more lower performing boards that we have highlighted and identified. So we, going to be actively working with those board administrators and their departments to boost those numbers up as much as possible. They're already in the outreach efforts that we've made. We know that certain agencies are actively reminding their personnel and board members. Last week, I was forwarded or I saw internal reminders that were sent out by UH across the board, reminding their personnel to jump on their LMS system to take the class. So we're already seeing the results of additional increases. So we anticipate between now and the end of the year, we'll continue to kind of see, climbing numbers overall. In terms of the specific strategy and focus in the next 3 months, our targets will be mainly to continue doing monthly reminders to our agency and board contacts. We also we'll be doing, social media, website, and other announcements. Another key area is we're going to be doing courtesy calls to state individuals who are required to take the live training, have not yet done so. We're monitoring about 60 or so officials, some of which have already signed up for a class. There's 3 remaining for the rest of the year, and the others we're reaching out to kind of say, hey, don't forget to sign up for a session. We're also going to hopefully reach out to the governor's office, and perhaps he can announce at a cabinet meeting to the department heads to get the word out. And then also directed outreach, as I mentioned, to specific agencies and boards that have been flagged as being underperforming. And through this strategy, we expect to see, higher numbers. Of course, we don't expect 100%, because this is a fairly new law that people are getting accustomed to. But really, the goal is to kind of increase our outreach efforts as much as possible, get as high as compliance as possible. So that, hopefully that addresses some of the plans for the rest of the year. And we welcome any type of feedback and suggestions from the commission if you have any questions.
Anita, if I can clarify one thing very quickly, if you remember the slide where she identified the financial disclosure filers and specifically the public disclosure filers, that corresponds with people who have to take a live training, and presumably there's a policy decision that these are the folks at sort of high level positions that have a lot of influence and power. Hence, we really want to make sure they take a live ethics training. And so, hence here, if you see the 3rd bullet note, that we are going to be doing courtesy call to everyone who has not completed that requirement. Right now, I think the number is around 60. A lot of focus will be specifically on that and trying to get as close to 100% on the live training. People who are obligated to do a live training, because again, that's, I think, the folks with perhaps the positions that are most needed to have an ethics training. I think we may have some boards and agencies that just aren't going to be as high, and I think we all sort of anticipated that with the passage of law, and I think it'll be our effort for the next 3 months to try to increase those percentages as well as in the future years to keep trying to increase those percentages as well.
Who are some of these individuals you're talking about targeting that are in a high position that have to take in-person training? That's my first question. Second question, Anita, how often do we have to take this I guess this seminar, this training? Do we need a booster shot, as they call it?
I think my understanding is the law as drafted was once every 4 years. So once you've taken the initial training, you're good for 4 years. Of course, there's plenty of people that we see that take it all the time, so they can't get enough of the training, which is great. There's always new things, especially live training webinars. And in terms of the first question, the folks that are the high level what I call tier 1, the ones that there may be new board members that just joined the larger boards, so they're just kind of onboarding. So it could be one of the larger public like I don't know if it's Board of Land and Natural Resources or those type of boards that are like a higher level, more public policy impacting boards. And so we have a list of those individuals and we can track more closely. And we have been reaching out to them already and just working with them to sign them up and get them through finish line.
Are you talking about the cabinets members and also the judiciary?
I don't think there are that many cabinet members currently that were. I mean, most of the cabinet members have already taken it. I think it's just other individuals. So we have that list, and we're going to be making courtesy calls and dividing it up among the office.
Last question: out of all of the 60,000 state employees, what percentage, as of today, can we say we've already given the training to?
I don't know. That's a hard number to pinpoint in terms of percentages because we are not the human resources. We don't have personnel data, right? So we have to rely on the information that's being provided by the respective agencies. Unlike the city, there is no uniform HR department. You have the judiciary, which is a separate.
Do we have a ballpark here?
So maybe if you don't mind if I just jump in
Sure,
briefly.
sure.
I mean, where it's challenging would be, for example, the person who takes the ethics training repeatedly. In our books, it would show up as John Doe took the training 5 times and they belong to a certain department. And it would be hard to know if there's multiple John Does or if they took it multiple times. And so that throws off our statistics. Another example of how our statistics get thrown off is if somebody leaves an agency and somebody new comes on board. And so maybe it shows up as 2 people for the training, even though it's the same employee position. Another example would be an employee leaves, for example, Jody leaves AGs and joins the ethics commission. Those type of information, I mean, just giving you a number of examples where our statistics of so-and-so at an agency took a training isn't necessarily correlated to the total number of employees. We can't make any precise, this is the total percentage without some type of, for example, uniform employee numbers would be able where we could really then logistically link, they took a training and they're still motivated to do that. Long-winded way of saying, one of the things that Benita's steer has been in charge of is actually asking each agency to examine our ethics training logs and actually self-report the percentage of employees. They're sort of asking them to self-report the percentages. And that is some of the information that we have and are able to now reflect. As far as the overall percentage, you can see that approximately 30,000 or so people have taken the self-directed training. So we are, at least we have all state employees taking ethics training range, but trying to be specific about it would be challenging.
The only reason I asked the question, one second, the reason I asked the question is someone could ask, well, what's your progress in educating our 60,000 state employees and boards and commissions? You know, what do we tell them? More than 50%, under 50%? We're working on it, and eventually we'll get 100%. I mean, I'm sure they want figures or some kind of intelligent percentage we've already, you know, given the training to. Because you remember, our emphasis as being proactive is really training and enforcement. And I like to, someone should ask me, says, yeah, we're training everybody. Everybody should know the law in regards to ethics. Because if you don't, then it's their problem, not ours. You understand that, Benita?
Yeah, perfectly. I mean, most of these agencies have their ability to track, right? So agencies that have an LMS system is particularly helpful for us. And so we, you know, that's why we survey the agencies and say, hey, what are your numbers, right? The challenge though also, you know, so there's gonna be transitions and there's certain level of where, you know, it's hard to track personnel that comes in and out. So there's a
No,
certain level, but I think roughly safe to say we are above 50% at this rate, right? In terms of there's going to be vacancies and personnel changes, but I think overall, based on just the sheer numbers that we're seeing, I think that's safe to say. You know, it may even be higher. So as we, you know, roll out the next 3 months, I think we're confident that we will see increasing numbers.
yeah, could you give us, but the next board meeting or a couple of board meetings later, can you give us a approximate percentage of the number of state employees who have gone through this training? Because I see over here in your blue chart over here, DAGS is 47 and DLE is 30. I'm sure you got those figures from them. Let them help us, give us, you know, some kind of a report card so we know that we're doing our job. And who's lacking? That's my concern. Okay, enough. I'm sorry. I know you. Okay, Commissioner Thielen, I know you're gonna. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
I would like to suggest that we zero in on some of the state boards and commissions and that are highlighted on the detailed folder. And it's I'm looking at particularly at page 17. Either something is wrong with what we're doing or something's terribly wrong with them. When we look at the Hawaii Tourism Authority, an incredibly important board, 8% have completed. Now, maybe that's because I don't know why. I mean, I'd like to have you look into that and I suggest pull out all of the numbers that are under 25% on this chart. And I suggest that the commissioners send a very direct letter to the people that are on those boards or commissions and saying something like right at the front, not going into where the ethics commission, this is what the law says, going right out in front saying our records show only blank percentage of blank members have taken ethics training. Please inform us if our records are incorrect. And then go into what the law requires and how can we help you comply. I think that it's going to be more important that we have, when we look at the outreach strategy, I'd like to have that be put up at the very top bullet under there to say, we're going to go directly and make it personal. We're going directly to these people to say, here's a requirement, the ethics training, because once you're educated, then if something happens, you've committed blank.
Either you didn't, being an educator, either you didn't pay attention or you had a bad educator.
Yeah, but take a look at this here. There are a couple of them that are pretty startling. Tourism Authority. Now, this may not have, it says there are 5 members on it, but it's the transit oriented development, the TOD Infrastructure Improvement District Board. It's a long title, but anything related to Todd is really a hot button item for land use issues in local communities, and no one has taken the training, none of the members.
Is that,
And
Commissioner,
women's-
if I can answer some of the issues. HCA is one of the targeted boards. You know, there's as I mentioned, there's 20 that we've identified through our data that we will be directly reaching out. So definitely yes, HTA. The transit, there is that new board, as I mentioned last month. Certain boards are just recently formed, and the numbers that we have, while it's saying members, those are actually positions that may not necessarily actually include who's actually filled in those roles. So partly we have to work with the board administrators to find out, okay, who currently is actively appointed to their role. And we work with them in the onboarding process to have them file their disclosure and then take the training. So we will definitely be reaching out to those board administrators, but there are a number of boards that are fairly new that may not actually be up and running.
Well, pick a couple of the hot ones in here. And let's put together, I'm asking staff to put together the letter for the commissioners to review first and then to sign on to. And let's go out with, say, a trial group of 10 different entities where their numbers are either 0 or
25%?
we go down to a 14% on the burial council, which is a hot one. Tourism authority, definitely. And natural area reserve system commission, that's 12 members. 17% have taken it. So let's go out with the trial if the commissioners agree, and we will put out a more personal letter and then track whether or not that has any results. I would think it would.
Actually, Commissioner Thielen, if you like, I could entertain a motion to that effect. But before I do that, any comment from the other commissioners of what Commissioner Thielen just said? Commissioner McCarthy.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate Benita and the staff for implementing this program and the tremendous increase in training that's happened to date. I think it'd be interesting to track the increase in training, satisfactory training, with new cases coming in the door within the next 6 months to a year. One would hope that the number of new cases would decline as the training increases. And that'd be interesting to take a look at that stat.
Okay. Any comments in regards to Commissioner Thielen's requests to send out a letter for those, I guess, entities that are under 25%?
Well, go lower, go 20%.
20%, something to that.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, just as a pragmatic observation, there are circumstances where we don't necessarily know the members of the boards. I think that's in part why we've been very reliant on the HR contacts, because they'll know who is on the board. I mean, again, sometimes, so I think it just, as a note of pragmatism, I think where we can identify board members and contact them, that's certainly something we can look at doing.
Well, it won't be 100%. I recognize that. And there'll be
And
difficulties.
there may
But
be
let's give it a try to see whether
Absolutely.
that kind of direct personal contact to say, this is what our records show, correct or not?
There
And then-
may be circumstances where we need to, for example, reach out to the department instead of the board. There may be circumstances where we have to look at
Yeah, let me interrupt. Actually, in regards to your recommendation that we sent on the letter, is it to the individual or to the department?
Well, where possible, it should be to the individual CCing the department,
Oh,
but
yes.
the individual
That's-
in their official capacity.
Can we just start with the department, put it on their onus that they should be the one monitoring it? Because that's a heck of a lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's not gonna be as big an impact.
well, at least I put, personally speaking, I put the onus on the guy who's in charge. He's
Okay.
supposed to monitor. That's a military way. You go to the general, don't go to the private. And let the general go and monitor it. Because, you know, if we, and in all due
Okay.
respect,
It's-
that's a lot of work. If we have every individual employee who hasn't done it, how come you didn't do it? I mean, that's like the other 30,000, I guess.
Well, again, I think, the Commissioner Thielen's recommendation is to look at boards, specifically boards.
Yes.
And we're also looking at agencies
Yeah.
that are significantly underperforming. And I think it's something we've already said that we would do.
Okay,
I'm just basically asking that we probably give us some discretion to tailor to each board as we know who's on it, what the status of the board is, et cetera.
okay,
Certainly with discretion, that's fine.
okay.
But from my recollection from being at the Capitol, someone got a letter from Ethics Commission that shook not only that person, but it shook the other legislators. So there's a big impact when it goes personally. When it goes too far up the chain, it's
So-
kind of like, oh, well, you go do this sometime when you've got time.
So again, walking through an open door, we are personally not only mailing letters to the live filers, we are personally calling, so that would include legislators, for example, who have almost 100% completion rate. There are some who have not. We're personally calling those. And we will tailor to different boards as we can. You know,
I'd like to see if this does bring a fast reaction. I would anticipate within a week, 2 weeks, those people
Okay.
would sign up.
We had
And
your,
either take it in.
we had your
person or take it-
recommendation. Let me call upon Commissioner Hong. Yes.
Yeah, prior to implement widespread changes, I would suggest we trial focusing on a single board and maybe a single state agency and see the difficulties that are encountered and you know, the validity of the information we receive. So, you know, rather than get Bonita into like endless amount of extra work, I would probably try a small sample, and you guys could suggest if, you know, it's more than just one board and one, you know, agency, but look and see what are the difficulties encountered in this process. And clearly there's going to be problems with information that we have, you know, to make widespread, you know, spread recommendations. I do think that, you know, the whole group should be congratulated for, you know, the accomplishments in training. And, you know, I think I was the one that asked for the numerator and denominator and found that there was problems with, you know, how we collected the information. But I put that topic up for discussion, maybe small trial, small group first.
What do you think, Commissioner Thielen?
I feel more comfortable going with the percentages when you have a 0% where anyone has taken the training
Up
or
to,
say under 20%.
okay,
Then I'd feel more comfortable going with that rather than a single department. Because I think the message goes out then cross departments and it has a bigger impact reaching the people that both the leadership or the heads of those departments as well as the individual appointed members.
okay, let's, well, Commissioner McCarthy, and you want to weigh in?
Just very quickly, I support the recommendation in general by Commissioner Thielen as modified by the suggestion by Commissioner Hong. I think having a smaller sample gives us an idea of what the problems are, what the results would be, and we can take it from there.
Would you leave it up to the discretion of the,
Department heads,
as to that small sampling,
right.
under 20%, Commissioner Hong?
I would give Robert a trial first and see, you know, because even 20%, it sounds like a reasonable cutoff, but we don't know how accurate all the information is, you know, as Bonita pointed out, because we don't have HR records and the whole thing. But if you'd say 5 groups or something, and then see, you know, how accurate is our feedback? We clearly have had marked improvement in our educational requirements, especially in view of the, you know, recent legislative actions. So you know, I wouldn't do widespread things until we know the issues that we're facing.
Would you be
I
in
wouldn't
favor?
recommend.
Thanks. Would the commissioners be in favor of leaving it to the staff to actually create that sampling in regards to compliance with the education? Is that okay? Okay. What I'll do now, unless there are any other comments, from the staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion. But Anita, do you have any other comment? Do you have a comment to that? Can do?
No,
Okay.
that's a reasonable
Right.
proposal.
So my understanding, and first of all, I think we all agree that staff has done, well, a great job since I've been here to have more education, and you can see by the stats. Before I leave office, hopefully maybe we'll get to at least 90%. That's a long ways off.
You never know.
Hopefully.
I'm optimistic.
Anyway, I want to entertain a motion. Commissioner Thielen, you want to create a motion? Since it's your idea. With in the motion that we, I guess we get a sampling and leave it to the staff under whatever percent, and then leave it to the staffing.
Sure.
Go ahead. You want to make a motion?
Can you do it, Chair? You really have.
All right.
Together.
All right, that's what I get paid for, right? I know.
Yes.
I get the big bucks, right? All right. Let me think. I'll entertain a motion that the staff create a sample list of the departments,
Boards, commissions, and departments.
boards, commissions, and departments under 20%.
Under 20%.
Okay, and come back with a report as to the, that's it, send them a letter,
Send them a letter, direct letter,
direct letter.
drafted for commissioners' approval from commissioners to the underperforming entities.
The subject boards, commissions, and
Yeah.
departments.
If I may make a friendly suggestion, maybe for the chair's
Sure.
signature, because I don't want to have to wait
Oh,
for the
yeah.
next board meeting
Okay.
to get it for next commission meeting.
Yeah. Any
Okay.
objection? I'll sign that. Okay, fine. Did you understand the motion? Oh, good. Can you repeat the motion?
And Chair, just for information, there are only 11 entities that fall within this category, so we're not talking,
Yeah.
according to these lists.
You heard that, Commissioner? It's only 11 we're talking about.
11 entities, 11
Yeah, that could be.
boards or
Yeah. But
commissions.
anyway, we'll leave it to,
Go ahead.
yeah, we'll leave it to the staff, but 11 as we know it,
And that the letter be direct,
to the department.
that starting right out, our records show, by direct, I mean putting out the very first two sentences. Our records show this. Please inform us if they're incorrect, and then going into what the law requires.
Okay. That's a lot for one motion, so I'm gonna ask Robert, because he's the one and his staff is gonna be doing the work. Can you repeat that motion as you understand it, so your staff can understand it?
Sure, it's a motion to send out a letter indicating what our records are and asking for clarification to departments, boards, and commissions that are currently below 20% in educational compliance,
To be signed by the chair.
to be signed by the chair.
Is that okay?
Good. Yeah.
Commissioner, did you understand the motion?
Yes.
Ready for the Commissioner Hong? Did you understand
I think-
the motion? Okay, ready for the question?
I think you need a first and a second, though.
Yeah, I need a motion first of all.
I
It's moved by Commissioner Thielen. Anybody need to have the motion repeated? No, I guess they got it. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Park. Any
Before we
discussion?
vote on it, could we just have staff input of how feasible this is going to be? Maybe
Sure.
Bonita could give us a general idea.
I mean, we already flagged the departments and boards that we were going to be working with anyway, so this is going to be kind of part of that effort. We can just, be more specific in the letter based on Commissioner Thielen's specific suggestions. We can incorporate that as part of the targeted outreach there to say, hey, our records show they're, low performing, take X actions, here's how. So that's definitely part of our outreach. So we can definitely,
So Bonita, on a practical thing, do you feel that this is a doable, actionable recommendation?
I think generally, yes, we can, because we do identify and we are monitoring those particular low performing boards. Now, whether we have down to the bean counting specific numbers by granular accuracy, that's always going to be the issue or challenge. But generally, we can say in terms of trends, there are going to be certain boards and agencies that are lower performing, and we can identify that, and we can work with those agencies to say, hey, please increase your numbers, higher participation rates, and we will work with you to do whatever it takes to do that. So I think it's manageable. Thank you.
Any other questions for discussion? Anything else from the public or staff? Any comments from the staff? Okay, if not, can we repeat the motion one more time?
So this motion is asking the staff to create a letter to specifically identify the percentage of compliance according to our records, and asking for clarification to specify what is the law requirement, and to focus this letter towards boards, commissions, and departments that are under 20% completion, with some discretion, presumably.
And the letter to be signed by the chair.
To be signed by the chair.
Okay. Any questions before I call for the question? Okay, roll call.
Vice Chair McCarthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
I,
Chair.
I see no objections, motion is carried. Thank you very much for your discussion. Thank you for the suggestion, Commissioner Thielen. So anyway, staff, again, thank you very much for doing a great job. I said, hopefully, before I leave, I will give you we've done a lot since I've been on board in regards to trainings, so congratulations. And thank you, commissioners, for your input. All right, anything else? If not, we'll move on.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, we do prepare an annual report. And I think we will spend a great deal of time talking about the educational efforts that we've done and as part of the annual report, because I do think it is something we should be particularly proud of, with respect to, as Benita mentioned, no additional funding, no additional staff. By comparison, the Ohio Commission, which I think is widely recognized as one of the better commissions on education, have 2 full-time staff focused specifically just on education. And I think if we do want to get up to higher numbers, we may wind up having some tough conversations about money for an LMS portal, additional staff, et cetera. And maybe it might be at some point appropriate to do so. But I think we're going to try to do what we can using duct tape to get high again from now on. I think Benita and all the staff deserve a lot of credit for efforts done to get us to where we are today. Shifting gears, just as a quick update on miscellaneous office projects and updates. We are, as you are aware, are fully moved into Suite 900, and Suite 970 is being renovated. We appear to be on schedule for a move back into Suite at mid to late November. The hope is to be fully moved back in before Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving timeframe. In addition, I'd like to note that thanks to the chair's hard work and effort, we were invited to participate with a Rotary Club. We did a presentation. I'll let Chair maybe elaborate a little bit on that. I think we both identified the need to do outreach to the public as being a priority. In addition, I'd like to note that I have accepted an invitation to speak to HGA's management team of about 80 or so employees in the next week. And I believe there's one other speaking engagement. I think start trying to highlight that and maybe sort of publicize the fact that we're trying to do that proactive, reach out to educate people of what we do and why it's important to preserving public's confidence in public government.
Yeah, I want to thank Robert for coming to my Rotary Club meeting. It was, and his presentation was very, very good. And it was very well received. As a matter of fact, as soon as he finished speaking, all the hands went up, which is really surprising, which kind of showed, and by the questions they asked, now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rotary, it's a cross section of really your professional people, businesses and professions out in the public. So it's not just all lawyers or doctors and ENGs. And the questions they asked just kind of proved and showed to us that really very few people understand what we do and how we do it. And they were very appreciative of the fact of what we're doing. At least that's the impression I got. So I want to thank Robert, and I agree. We have to go out and, you know, I should say, spread the gospel of ethics. Because a lot of, not only of our board commissions and department heads don't know much about what they are required to do in regards to ethics. The public doesn't know. I mean, when I mentioned, as an example, I mentioned words of Colin and English and KLO, and they all budgeted it together. And I said, no, wait a minute, hold on. Two of them are state. That's our jurisdiction. KLO and some others, that's city jurisdiction. And they have their own separate commissions. So I think it's a matter of, again, part of the education. I want to, again, thank Robert, and I'm glad that more people are asking, you know, what is the State Ethics Commission? Even my friend says, the what? You know, ethics? You know, like, what's that? So anyway, anything to add?
No, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, not at all. Thank you. And again, if you have an opportunity, go out and preach the gospel. It's easier for us to understand. Any comments from the commissioners? No? Okay. Is that it for your report?
That is.
All right. Item number 3, discussion of ethics oversight over the judicial branch. I think that's Jennifer, isn't it?
Probably me. So we do have a email chain, as we indicated before, about trying to initiate a conversation with the judicial branch. There has been a delay in trying to schedule something. I do need to follow up. We had agreed to keep this as a standing item on the agenda. That's why it's here. So we can keep talking about it, but I don't really have a report or update at this time, but hopefully by next meeting.
Keep us informed. My understanding is they are receptive and not combative. I have a good word.
No, they were willing to meet, but we've
I
had.
had that with the US Supreme Court.
I don't think we have that many billionaires around.
I mean, again, I think the intent is to try to have the judiciary self-initiate any reform that's necessary. That I think is a far preferred approach over perhaps trying to engage the legislature to do it. So again, I think they're willing to meet and discuss. I think we just had a with trying to schedule. I need to sort of re-poke at it.
Any comments or questions by the commissioner?
My only comment is that I think it's great that they are receptive to a general discussion of ethics government-wide. I think if we do come to the point where we have a meeting, that we should include, if they, unless the judiciary would have them there anyway, we should include a representative from the Commission for Judicial Conduct at the meeting so we could discuss with them what the respective responsibilities are within the judiciary and outside the judiciary for the implementation of ethics. So my only thought.
Actually, I was thinking of somebody from who is commissioner who has some judicial experience.
Anybody in particular you're thinking of, Wes?
Well, last count, I think Commissioner Hong doesn't have that experience, no, Commissioner. Zito. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge, Commissioner McCarthy, but I think.
Yeah.
Well, at this
Right.
point, but I'm glad we should have a representative for the commission. Okay. All right, but thank you for volunteering, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't know I volunteered, but you're welcome.
All told.
This is the army way. All right, moving along. Any comments from, how about the public? Any comments from the public?
We do.
Yeah, any comments from the public? How about the staff? Any comments? Okay, let's keep it for. All right, the next on the agenda, evaluation of the executive director.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So, apologies, I mean, again, we did this last year and the form that was used seemed very complex. So, we have a proposed, attachment, which what it essentially is doing, if you take a look at page 31, is taking the path evaluation form and tries to more generalize it. So it takes a lot of the individual questions and puts them more in broad categories. These categories reflect the job description, which is the reason why they're there. And so essentially it's trying to basically say, here's a job description and how are you going generally in these areas versus having, I think, approximately 60 or so questions last time. So this is a proposed evaluation form. Any suggestions, edits, you know, again, I think this is ultimately for the commission itself, what's going to be useful for them. And the other thing I propose, my understanding is in the past, one commissioner maybe had objections about having staff provide insight. I would propose allowing staff to fill out this form with the understanding that if there's some specific disagreement or something that the commission has the wisdom to evaluate any staff comments accordingly. But I think it would be insightful or useful for you to get that information. This form, as it is written, is really more geared towards commissioners, to be clear. So staff may give some NAs or not be, you know, legal counsel to the commission, for example. I think, for example, the commissioners are probably in the best position to answer that. There may be other areas where staff might be able to provide insight. There's also a specific category after a column after each category, allowing people to write information so they have specific comments, observations. You know, the idea is that it's just more information for you to have in the evaluation process. Assuming that this form looks okay, what I propose doing is signing either Benita or Team to run with it. Essentially, it is a Google form. They would distribute the address to everybody if it's allowed, to staff and to commissioners. And they would handle the processing and provide that information back to you in order to try to do evaluation by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Finally, if you don't mind, one thing I would like to do going into next quarter is to work with staff and trying to identify some strategic goals. And then take those strategic goals for you to evaluate as commissioners, to add input, et cetera. I mean, the idea is to do a bottom up and then a top down kind of identification of a couple of key strategic goals. But the idea that then the next evaluation might also have specific things on those strategic goals. But how are we doing? It's too late in the year to try to do something like that now, but the idea is it just kind of giving you the viewpoint of where I want to do this. If that helps.
What I want to do is go into the executive session so that we commissioners can discuss this form, or is this new or revised form? It's different from what you used during the last evaluation period. But before I do that, is it okay if I ask the staff not to comment on, is there any information that we should have, not evaluating the form of good or bad or indifferent? Can I ask them their input in regard to yes, we should be part of the evaluation, or no, we shouldn't, or is that within mind? I don't know. Is any objections, commissioners, if I ask the staff yay or nay in regards to any objections to having the staff also evaluate?
No objection.
Okay, I just want to make sure, was I I know the last go around, there was an objection by one of the commissioners, and I won't mention. All right, any comments from the staff, any, not evaluation, nothing like that, any information we should know about this form? Okay, if not, unless there are any objections, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn into executive session to review the evaluation of, evaluation form for our executive director.
So
Moved by Commissioner Thielen,
Second,
seconded by Commissioner Hong. Roll call.
Starting with Vice McCarthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
I,
Chair.
Aye, see no objections, the motion is carried. We will now be in executive session and all but, I guess, all the commissioners, is that it? And do we have anybody in the staff again?
So it's up to you if you want to, who you want to keep in.
Well, who's the one who's gonna be responsible for this?
So Benita, would you mind staying in on this? Okay, so all other staff will be excused.
Okay.
And we'll let you know when we're back in. Thank you.
So, yes, oh, okay, we'll see you back, don't go away.
I got everyone else in the waiting room. And I'm gonna put my earbuds down, so if you need to reach out, just, I mean, when you're done, just wave your hand and I'll come back. But let me, oh wait, hold on, let me stop this one first. And we start the session.
I'm sorry, who's this? Is it Pat?
Yeah, this is Patrick, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, we are now back in regular session. Just to summarize what we have decided in executive session without going into the details. A five-step process, and where's Benita? She disappeared on me. Oh, there she is, all right. Benita, give us the 5-step process that we have agreed upon.
Okay. The commission has approved the survey form as proposed. In terms of the specific process for the evaluation, Executive Director Harris will be conducting a self-assessment and submitting that to the commission. Separately, staff will be asked to submit a survey using the same form that's proposed, and that information will be done confidentially. The information will be compiled and aggregated by myself and submitted to the commission for its review. And at that stage, the commission will begin its review and evaluation process of Executive Director Harris.
Any comments by the commissioners? Okay, we're good at that. The self-assessment, by the way, Robert, it will be directed, actually concentrating on the categories in the evaluation form. Okay. All right. Wow. Thank you very much. Let's move along. Oh my gosh. Apana.
Okay.
No updates.
Oh, that was fast. Any other business of transaction for the sunshine portion? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn and take 5 minutes, and then we will reconvene for the judiciary session. So I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
We'll adjourn then. Oh, second, Ms. Stevens, a motion.
We have 2 gentlemen, ladies first. Commissioner Thielen, seconded by Commissioner Hong to adjourn time. All in favor? Oh, you mean roll call on that?
We do.
Roll call?
So starting with Vice Chair McCarthy.
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
I.
Chair.
Aye, no objections.
10:46.
Motion's carried. The time is now 10:46. 5 minutes.